Football's a tough and dangerous sport, which we practice as smart as anybody in the country. That was Kirby Smart talking about injuries and just how to sort of mitigate getting not just getting through this time at Georgia, but getting through it with toughness. How do you develop toughness this time of year? Well, you tackle guys to the ground. I mean, I just don't really know any other way about it. I mean, it's this is where we're at. Football is a tough and dangerous sport, he said. When we practice as smart as anybody in the country. And let me give you some background on that. Sometimes, I mean, some of y'all know from just watching Kirby and other people talk about Georgia, watching Kirby from other outlets and so forth. They are a very digital operation, this program. The GPS stuff, all of it. And it all adds up. And at the end of the day, this program, I don't know that it has fewer injuries than other people. It has fewer injuries than it did in the past. And, Ron Corson's been around for a long, long time. So I think really some of this is about, knowing when to pull back, knowing when to go inside, something that Mark Richt and them didn't have, now that I think about it, at all. It's about the modernization of the football situation at Georgia. The Dogs have not always been in the position that they're in, not just as, winning national championships in back-to-back seasons, but with their facilities. I mean, they have no shortage of facilities and places to recover. Again, practicing indoors, all that stuff. If you've never been inside the indoor practice facility, yes, it's it's the length of a football field, but there's other space in there too. It's not just the 100 some odd yards. It's everything. If you're looking at it, and you're looking at the wall, there's a significant space. I don't know about 20 yards, but a significant space before you get there to the left-hand side of the field. I'm just grabbing up. But anyway, they got all those things, and it helps them throttle back. I mean, that's one thing that Kirby and them have been very sensitive about over time, is not overworking the guys. But at the same time, the only way to learn how to tackle, the only way to tackle Kenny McIntosh or, Nick Chubb or whoever, is to tackle them to the ground. I mean, you're going to have to tackle people to the ground during games. The only way to really do it is to literally practice. And if you're not doing that, your team's not going to be as tough or where it needs to be physically for when this time you really got to tackle people comes around. Now, Georgia playing those 2 games at the beginning of the season before they play South Carolina, that helps. That helps. I mean, North Carolina and South Carolina are going straight into this thing right away. Georgia doesn't have that. So I'm sure there's an intensity at Carolina that Georgia would love to have right now, but they can only help who they schedule. So they schedule Oklahoma. Wasn't much they could do about that. Sign up for Dog Posts today. The link is right down below, and you get our 2023 preview included for free. You will also get a free shirt from Red Zone. You will also get a 20% off any item at Red Zone. They're going to email you that as soon as you sign up down below. If you have ordered the book, if you've ordered Double Dogs if you ordered Double Dogs, I will give you September for free. So all you got to do is sign up. The link's right down below. It is the time of year to sign up and take advantage of this. This is not an offer that's going to last forever. So take advantage. I don't have any confetti left in the past. So take advantage of it now. If you're someone watching for the first time, thanks for watching. But I think when you start talking, so football, I'm not sure there's a more physical sport than football, perhaps besides wrestling. And other sports are physical in different types of ways. I mean, as a former basketball player in college, we didn't have pads. So when we hit the ground or the floor, it wasn't a lot of fun. Well, football's much rougher than basketball ever thought about being. And there's a way to develop toughness. And apparently Kirby and them, I think the results speak for themselves. These guys have been doing this successfully for some time now. And, one example of Georgia moving forward is I was watching Jaden Hazelwood at I think they were playing in South Carolina somewhere, and the word got out that Zamir had torn his ACL, and he was covering kicks. I think it was a punt specifically. And a lot of people were like, well, what in the world is he covering punts for? Well, you know, think about how impactful Zamir has been in the punt game. Okay. The block punt against Arkansas 2020. That changed that game. That turned that game around completely. The block punt against Arkansas a year later, that was because of Zamir. He didn't block it. Or did he block it? I can't remember. You gotta play football. I mean, you can't help that it's an aggressive physical sport. It's just what it is. We can't control that. That's what makes it good. And this is Georgia's strength, by the way. I mean, a lot of teams are not physical like Georgia. A lot of teams in the SEC are. But like when you watch Georgia play Oregon or, certainly Georgia Tech, TCU, I think out of the league, Clemson, Ohio State, Michigan, they approach Georgia's physicality. I think of that group, Clemson has been the most physical. They just weren't very good in terms of skill compared to what they've been in the past. So that's where they're really hurting. Ohio State, great athleticism, skill, all that stuff. They got tired. I mean, it looked at me like they got tired. What are you telling me? They were up by 17 or whatever it was. They lost the game in the fourth quarter. Michigan, probably. I mean, Arkansas, Kentucky, Mississippi State, but certainly Kentucky, Auburn, Florida, South Carolina. These are all physical games. Like when Georgia plays Ohio State, Georgia's seen this a lot. They've not seen the skill players that Ohio State's got, but Ohio State's physicality, that's really not anything new. For Ohio State, I don't think it's necessarily anything new. It's just something they don't see 10 weeks out of the year. They probably see it 5-4. Certainly Michigan, Penn State. I'll give Michigan State. I will allow Michigan State. Wisconsin, if you play them. After that, it definitely falls off. Is Florida as physical as Georgia? No, but they can be pretty quick. I mean, if you do it right, that's where you're going to be. So I think for me, I hated preseason practices. I mean, I hated football preseason practice. Basketball preseason was miserable for me. It was the most physical time of the year. We were running nonstop. We were lifting, not nonstop, but way more than I like to do. And then, the physicality of our practices in October and November were rough, like very rough. It's probably that times 15 right now for those guys playing at Georgia, because we weren't running into Jordan Davis or whoever, Nazir or, Zion Logue or whoever, that's out there, Warren Brinson causing trouble, all of those things. But this is the time that no one day makes your team great. No one day. It's the accumulation of time over time of all of these things adding up: recruiting, lifting, running, eating, skull sessions, as Georgia calls them, mental toughness stuff. All of it, the placement of coaches, facility development, all of these, donor development, all of these things. There's a holistic approach. No one practice is going to cost Georgia the national championship necessarily, but I think when you think about August, this is a really important time in football. And if you are Kirby and them, this is an important month of getting ready to get it right. And yeah, they do need to be wary of getting hurt. But as he says, football is a tough and dangerous sport. We practice as smart as anybody in the country.